Nivi Sharma tra le 30 start-up finaliste del premio Next Billion Tech Prize, 10 sono africane e tra queste l'IMU, che è stata proprio fondata da Nivi Sharma. Nivi Sharma è tra i leader africani nel campo della tecnologia, la sto presentando, l'innovazione e la formazione. Attualmente è CEO di BRCK, che è un punto di accesso per utenti internet dei mercati di frontiera, dedicato la propria carriera a garantire l'accesso digitale ai bambini, ragazzi e adulti, e spinta dall'impatto potenziale che internet può avere sullo sviluppo economico e sociale in Africa. Some things are hard to solve. Solving them gives you an advantage. This is the inspiring quote that you gave us. And please, Nivi Sharma, tell us how you connect 1 billion Africans to the internet.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nivi, and I'm the COO of an organization called BRIC today. And I want to tell you a little bit about, or imagine a world where 1 billion people in Africa are connected to the internet. And my talk today will be a story about what one small company in Kenya is doing to achieve that vision, the hurdles that we're facing, how we're overcoming them, and hopefully that'll give you some inspiration for open innovation. So this is maybe a scene you've seen quite often if you've left the developed world. And at the heart of what I'm about to say in the way that we have approached innovation at BRIC is that the reason we have solutions like this is because we keep importing solutions that were not designed in Africa, they were not designed for Africa, they're not designed in or for any emerging markets, and we import them to these other infrastructure realities, and they simply don't work there. So that's the place where BRIC started its innovation journey. And also from a place of knowing that 70% of Africans are not connected to the internet. And what are we gonna do about that? But the first lesson I wanna echo from my friend Constance is a lesson in empathy, that innovation must start from a place of empathy. So even the 30% of Africans who are connected to the internet, that connection is not perpetual and it is not ubiquitous. So if you'll take with me just one leap of empathy today, is understand what it means when you're traveling to work tomorrow morning and you remember a statistic I gave you from Melinda Gates and you Google it. And now think about what's happening in your mind, what device you have in your hand, what infrastructure you have available to you to do that to access that simple small point of information. And now think of the average African who's, let's say, maybe not average, but an African who's earning less than $2 a day, and watching a YouTube video is a quarter of their daily wage. So it's not perpetual internet connectivity. It's not perpetual digital access. This is a person who does not have Wi-Fi at home and at work, who does not have mobile data always on his or her phone all day long, in between those two places. So while I'm giving this presentation, I want you to keep in mind a young man or a young woman who, when they want to send a WhatsApp message, they open the settings of their phone, they switch the mobile data on, they send that WhatsApp message, and then they switch their mobile data back off. So just have that in mind. And also, I guess, at the heart of innovation is this idea that I think that an Irish proverb sums it up very well. It says, if you want to catch fish, then you must listen to the sound of the river. So let's keep that in mind as we think about innovation. So what are the hurdles to get those 800 million Africans online? There are 3 hurdles to connectivity. One is affordability, one is access, and the other is digital literacy. So I want to talk through all of these and what we're doing at BRIC in a small way to overcome all of these. But the first one is affordability. So what BRIC has as an answer to this affordability question, it's not a technology problem. The hurdle to connectivity is a business problem, and we need to think creatively about how to pay for connectivity for people who cannot afford to pay for it themselves. So BRIC has a platform called Moja, And Moja is free Wi-Fi, free internet in buses or what this is called a matatu, a public transport bus in Nairobi. And you get online, you see free Wi-Fi, you connect to it. And the entire platform is that you as a user do not have to pay for that connectivity with money, but you pay for it with the attention. On the other side of that coin, in demand, we have a bunch of organizations, NGOs, FMCG organizations that want to reach these users, that want to have digital engagement with them. At a very basic level, it's watch this advert. But it's more complex digital engagements that we're encouraging. Fill out this survey. We want to hear from you. We want to tell you something. We want you to learn something. So what kind of digital engagements are organizations willing to pay for, knowing that there's a whole population of people that want to get online and cannot afford to get online? So our whole business model is now based on this disruption of an idea that someone has to reach into their pocket, take out money, buy a scratch card, load that onto their phone, and buy a data bundle to get online. And we think that digital access should be opened and not be limited to the people who have something in those pockets to reach into. So where we are with that model right now is we have 1,000 buses in Nairobi, 500 buses in Kigali. Our sales and marketing manager always says 100% of the public transportation in Kigali, but there's only 500 buses in the whole of Kigali. And we've recently acquired more, other than mobile networks, we've also acquired 1,200 fixed mobile Wi-Fi hotspots. So these are 1,200 places like barbershops and cafes and bus stops where people are gathering and want to get online. So an interesting figure we have there is on our network, we have 500,000 monthly active unique users. So 500,000 people coming on our network and getting online. What they're doing online is, we'll talk about that a little bit, but so that's, and on average, each user is coming back 12 times. In Kigali, that number is much higher because no matter what bus you get onto, on your way to work, you'll be on the Moja network. But in Nairobi, that number is lower. But on average, it's 12 times per user every month, coming back online using the Moja platform, knowing that this is a place where I can Google that thing that I was curious about. This is a place where I can watch that funny YouTube video. This is a place where I can search for alternatives to the food that I might be eating. So that means there's about 5 to 6 million sessions every month that are happening in Africa by people trying to get online who typically cannot afford to get online, but now are able to using the Moja network. The second hurdle that we have to connectivity is access. And what we do at all of our hotspots is use our own hardware. So this is the Super Brick. It's a rugged microserver. There's no new invention here. As Constance said, it's just bringing together the right inventions for the right infrastructure realities. So there's a Wi-Fi router here, it's got onboard battery, it's got onboard storage. So even when that bus is traveling through an area with no backhaul connectivity, this router is still able to serve up to it, a microserver that serves up to the users some onboard storage. And so that is content that is just stored on this little brick inside every bus, and there are videos, there are games, there are articles, there's music and podcasts and so on. So even when you're offline, you still have access to some small part of the internet, but that's not what we believe in. We do believe in open and free access to the World Wide Web. So then we got into this conundrum where our users started saying to us that, hey, once we leave this 20-meter radius of the Wi-Fi hotspot, we're offline again. When I go home, I'm offline again. So now we've just started piloting a very exciting solution where we're deploying our own Moja platform on an LTE network. So that means we're able to go into a village with no 3G, no 4G connectivity, and we're able to put up a tower at 1/10 of the cost that a mobile network operator is able to put up a tower, and give these users around the population around that area a SIM card that they put into their phone, and it's a data-only SIM card. So they cannot make phone calls, they cannot send SMSs, but they can use WhatsApp and Skype and WeChat and whatever they want to communicate and connect with each other. And it's the same platform for paying for that service using your attention and time rather than your money. The third hurdle of connectivity is digital literacy, and some would argue that this is the biggest hurdle of connectivity in Africa. That the reason why more people are not getting online in Africa is because they don't have the digital skills and knowledge to do that. So this is a hurdle that we've just started in collaboration with GIZ and some other partners, starting to think about, but not really overcoming. But it's an important part of what we do. Because when we ask ourselves the questions of what happens when we connect the unconnected, there's a myriad of good and impact that can come out of it. We think of connectivity as a foundational building block for a lot of great outcomes. But actually, when people get online, they look at a lot of pornography. So we need to keep that in mind. And our digital literacy training is not about giving people a walled garden experience of the internet. It's about giving them the tools and understanding that, hey, this is the greatest, largest network of knowledge and information in the world. And these are all the things that you can do with it. These are all the things you can learn with. These are all the ways in which you can grow. But here are some things that might be a waste of your time. But it's not a way of saying that you're only allowed to look at websites that have to do with education and healthcare and so on. So we want to do that in a way that's not condescending and paternalistic, but empowering. So I'll go through these very quickly, that there are 6 main pillars of impact we know with digital access. And the breakout sessions here do a great job of talking about them in greater detail. But we know that, I'll give you examples of healthcare, that there's as simple as a woman who has a child with undiagnosed asthma in one of the small towns where we've connected. And she now is able to join a forum of other mothers with children with asthma and make small dietary changes to her child's life. And that's powerful to me. Agriculture farmers depend on live data all the time, data about the weather, about their greenhouses, and data about markets. And so digital access for them is very important. We see a myriad of ways in which financial services are being leveraged by small business owners to get access to credit through organizations like Copia and other microfinance organizations, so they can really leverage that for growth in their business. I come from an edtech background, so education, again, to me, is opening those 4 walls of a typical African classroom and learning things beyond that, beyond what the teacher might know, beyond what those old textbooks can give you. And finally, government services is an important way in which citizens can become more engaged. They now have a voice, they now have access to information about what the government is doing with the taxes that they've been paying. And my sister Francesca will be talking more about the impact that she has seen on gender empowerment through digital access, and what it means for a woman to be able to get online, and what she can do with the economic empowerment of that digital access. So I'll leave you with this final thought, that connecting 1 billion Africans to the internet is a big, big task. And again, we cannot do it alone. We're doing a small part of that. We're tackling some of the hurdles in Kenya. But we believe that the impact that this can have on the global economy is vast. Like I said, it's a building block for so many pillars of development and impact that this is one of the first things that we must do as we go out and think about giving more people the opportunity to connect, more people the opportunity to innovate and participate. So right now, BRIC is at a stage where we are expanding. We're going to our Series B of investment round. So please do connect with me. Please do reach out to me if you're an investor, if you have a message that you want to share or you want to hear the voices of our millions of users very soon. And if you also want to collaborate on digital literacy, we'd love to collaborate and think more about how we can do this work that we're doing more effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nivi Sharma.